Welcome back for another episode of Strive for 25. Joel Farrell here, and looking forward to sharing with you our guest.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Strive for 25 podcast, and I've got an amazing guest on today, somebody that lays in Canada, Brian Winch. And Brian, if you would do our listeners a favor and introduce yourself, and we'll dig into your background.
Oh, it's great to be here, Joel. I operate a very niche service in the cleaning business. I've been doing it for 40 plus years. And what I do, actually, it's almost as easy to do as going for a walk. I provide property management companies and after hours litter cleanup service, where we clean the exterior of their commercial properties of any litter material. And how I got involved in that was back in 1981. I was 21 years old and working a full-time job at a sporting goods store. And when I realized my opportunities for advancement moving up in that company were fairly limited based on my education. I barely graduated high school. I didn't go to college, didn't have a lot of money or savings, but I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to do something that I felt good about, and I've always been kind of an independent person by nature. And I was looking at different things. What could I do? When make a very long story short, my dad was a caretaker, and he had done a number of things on the side, such as cutting grass in the summer, shoveling snow in the winter, but also cleaning up litter from a nearby shopping plaza. And he had taken me along with him a couple times when I was probably 12 or 13. And I remember how easy it was to do. We just walked around the property and swept up any litter material into our litter collection tools. And that was it. I mean, he was under contract to maintain the property, so there wasn't much to do each day. We were finished in probably just a little more than the time it took to walk the property. So with that memory, I decided, maybe there's a full-time business in this. Unfortunately, he had just passed away at the end of July, unexpectedly at the age of 61. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna prove to myself that and show other people that he had something here. There's a full-time business in that. And that's basically how I got started. And I plowed on and picked up 2 properties and continued to scale the business to the point where we do over $700,000 a year in business, just cleaning up litter from parking lots. It's a niche service. That's all we do.
Okay. So, for the average listener out there, cleaning up litter doesn't sound glamorous, right? But you turn this into a business that you mentioned niche that is generating a tremendous amount of revenue. And, in our talks, you've been able to kind of scale this and turn this into a duplicatable type of business for other people that may be able to capitalize as well. Can you share a little bit about the end result here in the book?
Well, you're exactly right. It's not a glamorous business, but that's one of the key elements that makes it so profitable. Not everybody wants to do it. So if you're an individual that enjoys a little exercise, working outdoors, maybe looking for a side hustle where you can get out in the early morning hours before work and walk around the property and clean it up and make money for your morning exercise, it'd be an ideal opportunity for you.
Yeah, and the book.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. So, sorry. I don't want to appear too eager to plug myself, but the book. So, after about 4 or 5 years, I realized it's a great opportunity for other people that would share my interests and share, feel good about what they're doing in their community, and that's providing a litter-free surroundings. I decided to write a book, and it's more like an instructional manual, much the same as, if you bought a franchise, what you would get. And it also comes along with free support. I offer free support to anyone who's serious about starting the business. And I get a big kick out of doing so. And it's my way of giving back. But I made the whole business opportunity affordable. I didn't want to sell it for $1,000 or $15,000 and then charge ongoing royalty fees. It's such a simple business to learn. All you need is my guidance, and away you go. If this is something up your alley and you think you would like to pursue.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to start that so early on is that at the end of the day on this channel, we try to break down the wealth building process and breaking down into its simplest parts. And, everybody that's heard this so far, you hear me talking about the three equations: the savings equation, the investment equation, and the results equation. And really this one fits into the savings equation. Income minus your expenses equals your savings. And expenses, again, there's only so much you can do to cut it. It's good to be able to manage it and know what's going on. But at the end of the day, the time that you spend each day, each week, each month, if you're not spending time on generating more income, you're missing the opportunity, because there's so many people who are doing that. And this kind of fits into that. And you turned it into a full-time business, right? But I think there's some people that you worked with along the way that either started out or are still doing this on the side of what they're already doing. And
Right.
For the person that's got a 9-to-5 job out there that's trying to save money, we talk about, hey, if you can cover your expenses with your base job and then also then have a second job, second lane of income, and you can then just plow that directly into savings and start seeing some success and building and growing, pure building on that side, that's an opportunity to be able to really see the fruits of your labor right away. And so are you able to kind of share an example of somebody that came in along the way that did this on the side at some point along the way?
Well, people that buy my book, everyone's motivation is a bit different. Obviously I recommend people start this, and you are going to be starting it out as a side hustle. I mean, nobody lands 15, 20 buildings, in the first week. You're going to get one building and it goes from there, and you can scale it to any, as large as you want. Some people, are looking only to do this 2 or 3 hours a day, as a side hustle, and make a few extra $1,000 a month. And that's it. They enjoy their full-time job. Other people, who buy my book, they start out like this, and then it turns out they really enjoy doing it, and they turn it into a full-time business. So, a couple of examples. I had one fellow who bought my book several years ago, and I don't recall he ever reached out to me for the support I provide. I guess he got it and he just ran with it. And then he phoned me up and said, "Brian, I bought your book 3 years ago, and I just want to let you know that I was able to obtain contracts cleaning up some Walmart supercenters. Been doing that, and I put my three kids through college. Thank you very much." And then there is another, probably one of my most successful students. He was, I guess was a school teacher, but he was a school teacher at the time. And he bought my book thinking that, here's something to start in the summer months when he had extra time, because he's not teaching in the summer months. But he became so successful that he left his job, and he's got, I think, upwards of 350, 400 buildings that he cleans, in operating in several states. So, that's the great thing about my book is, I'm just giving you the information you need. I'm not telling you how many hours every day you need to operate. I'm not telling people you have to do this full time. You can run this business any way you please, after you've got going, and it's affordable to the common person who doesn't have deep pockets.
So the thing that I really love, first off, I have to say, I've been excited about this interview for a while, because on this channel, we're 30 something episodes in, and I've been talking about side hustles, over and over and over. And we've had some people on the channel that have full-time jobs that have had, side hustles that they've done, but not to this degree where it's like, hey, this is an actual business that you can run. The tutorial, the roadmap is there. And the thing I love most about this is that there's people making millions and millions of dollars selling online courses. Whether they're good or not, I don't really know, but there's people making a ton of money. And, really they're making the money because of the time factor. They're going to pass on the experience, pass on, their time is valuable. And it's a way to be able to accelerate the process to go from where knowing nothing on something potentially to be able to then go to your end destination and earn income with whatever, specific, trait or skill you're trying to learn. And in this book, you mentioned and I'll give you the audience the name of the book. It's called Cleanlots, America's Simplest Business, a Parking Lot Litter Cleanup Business You Could Be Proud of. And you buy the book, and it comes with your service, right? They can connect with you over a period of time, and you are able to help answer questions. So can you explain more about that piece of the puzzle? Because to me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, in my book is my contact information. I provide my phone number. It rings on my desk, and my email address. The best way to contact me. And people reach out to me, and sometimes they, usually when they get started, what do I do first? And and in my book, I've got like a 10-step action plan. Most people who buy my book have never been in business before. This is their first business. So I kind of have to educate them as to, what are the steps necessary to take to cover all the legal bases before you start marketing yourself. So at various stages, people may reach out to me and say, okay, Brian, I'm all set up. What do I do now? And, I'm there to coach them. And it really is pretty simple. That's why the title, America's Simplest Business. I really don't know of anything else that is quite as simple. You can operate based from home. You use, simple hand tools, use your vehicle for transportation. The startup costs are very minimal. But as you gain experience, you get the hang of it. After a while, you probably don't need me anymore. But I always enjoy some people, touching base with me, every once in a while, just to say hello and give me a progress report as to, how many buildings they have and, how well they're doing. But, my contact information, it doesn't expire. I provide, support. I'm there for as long as, someone wants to contact me.
So for the listeners out there that want to do some research on you, where could they find you on social media?
I'm on LinkedIn, and also have a Facebook business page for Cleanlots. So that those are the two best places. All you need to do is just Google my name, Brian Winch, and a lot of stuff is going to show up. I've appeared on YouTube, quite a few podcasts. I'm sure you'll see my profiles of Facebook and LinkedIn, but yeah, do your due diligence, check me out, and reach out to me if you have more questions before you actually decide to buy the book, if that's the case.
Cool. So I want to kind of go backwards in time a little bit and dig back into kind of the journey, because you mentioned that this kind of came about after your dad passed away, and that was the turning point of turning this into a business for you rather than more of a passive thing or a bystander type of thing. So can you kind of give us a timeline on that? What were you doing before that, and then what time frame? What did that happen to start? And did this actually start?
Okay, well, I was 21, and I was working that full-time job, and it was probably early summer, and I was thinking, you know what, I've got to find something to do for myself. And I started narrowing things down. I was doing research back then at the time. This was well before the internet. So I started going to various newsstands and picking up some magazines. And, Entrepreneur Magazine, they're still around today, actually. But, and just looking at different types of business opportunities, and I quickly, ruled out any kind of bricks and mortar operation, because I didn't have the money to start a restaurant or anything like that. And I narrowed it down to a service. It seems a lot of service businesses could be started pretty cheaply back then without experience. And then, then all of a sudden, that's when I started thinking, well, hold on, my dad, does a number of things, maybe I could turn one of his services into a business of my own. And, that's when I remembered, he'd taken me along with him a couple times, cleaning parking lots. And then when I started kind of putting together a plan of action, he passed away at the end of July, unexpectedly of a massive heart attack. So that was a blow. I thought, well, I didn't see that coming. Nobody in the family did. So after a month or so, I decided, well, maybe I could turn his parking lot litter cleanup service into a business. And I was really motivated at the time to make it work, not just for myself, but also, to make him proud, of me, and do something with, what he had done. And so, I just plowed away. I found like you have to keep going. I mean, I've got a saying I tell some of my students, you need to work your business if your business is going to work for you. So if you run into some problems, find solutions yourself. If not, get some help. Maybe you can find a mentor. And then, you learn from the experience. In my case, I learned from the School of Hard Knocks, just seeing as I didn't go to any business school or university. And I think really, in some regards, that's the best way to learn, is just jump in and keep going, and don't give up, and passion, patience, and persistence, and it really does pay off.
And so you mentioned your father passing away. So that you're talking about when you were 21?
Yeah. Yeah. Just before I was going to start the business. So it's been, I'm 62 now. I'll be 63 in February. So, I've outlived him actually a couple of years, but, it's just amazing how time has flown by. Here it is, over 40 years later. And, I think he'd be quite proud. And I really, really enjoy, helping, other people with this business. And I can't help but think of him every time, I hear a success story.
And from a time frame of mentoring or working with clients, what was the time frame on that when that started?
Oh, well, I thought, well, what will set my offer, my opportunity, my book apart from a lot of the competition? Well, maybe I should throw out free support into it as well. And, some people said, oh, you got to charge for your time, et cetera. But, to be quite honest, a lot of people that buy my book and the price point, what I'm asking, are people that have bought other books and, with good intentions, but doesn't mean they necessarily start the business. But for those that do, I make myself available. It's not like I'm on the phone or on, spending hours each day, on answering emails. Usually I can get a lot accomplished in, a 15, 20 minute phone call with a person, or answer one or two questions at a time with the emails. And once they get it, it's not difficult. This isn't rocket science. They understand it, and they have the concepts and, what they need to do. And, they're on the ground running with it.
So if you were to break this down, you have the picking up trash part of it, that's the execution of the actual service. And then you have running the business part, and then you have getting the clients, right? Are there any other parts that I'm missing in terms of just the basics of operating this business?
Oh, that's pretty much it. I mean, I've scaled back the number of hours that I actually do the cleaning now. I mean, we've got other people that do a lot of the work for us. But I still like having my hand in the business. It's great for the experience, and I really enjoy what I'm doing, the early morning hours. I'm an introvert, so I love the peace and the solitude of the early morning hours. I mean, going out and doing the work, and then coming home and having the rest of the day to do as I please. And what I do is, I'm pretty free with my schedule. I enjoy providing the free support during the day, and getting my message out there, sharing my story with the book. So, the marketing of the book is kind of my sideline, if you will, for retirement, semi-retirement. So at some point in time where I may give up the actual cleaning work, I can see myself devoting more time to helping others across the country, start an operation in their own city and making a difference in keeping their community litter free.
Love it. Yeah. And I guess those three components, one of the questions I was going to ask you, if someone's just starting, what's the biggest hurdle to overcome? What's the hardest part of starting the process?
Well, if they've never been in business for themselves, it's just getting started. And, it's good. my book lays it all out, a roadmap, if you will, and then I'm there for the extra support if they need clarification or they need encouragement. And you just got to jump in. You got to do it. And people are at such a greater advantage today starting out than when I started. I didn't really have anyone, and I made my share of mistakes, but I never gave up. So, I tell people, whatever business side hustle you get involved in, make sure that you have a passion for it. And I'm not saying you absolutely love doing it, but you're going to like it. Maybe you've got some background. Maybe you can turn a side or a hobby. Maybe you can monetize a hobby into a side hustle. But do it for the right reasons, as opposed to getting involved in something where you're just looking at the dollar signs and you're thinking, I'm going to get rich doing this, and you fall for the advertising, the claims that you can make $30,000 a month in your pajamas just working five minutes a day. Or the only people making money are the people selling that dream.
Right. So you mentioned the first few months getting a couple companies signed up, right? And if somebody was kind of the average go-getter, so to speak, the average person, your median person that you've seen, if you go at this hard for a year, how many clients is realistic to be able to get into your business after a year?
That's kind of tough to answer, because everyone has different skills that they bring to the table, and the willingness to work, but some people, like I've got one student who I say unfortunately, but he managed in the first week to pick up 15 contracts. And I say unfortunately because that is a steep learning curve to go into all of a sudden 15 properties you've never cleaned before. You don't know how much time, how to walk a property, maybe how to price it. Did you price the each property correctly? Did you underbid it? So, that's why I recommend to take it low and slow and start this out as a side hustle. But, you can quite easily pick up, maybe a couple of buildings, within the first, 4 or 5 weeks, that can bring in, $1,500 to $3,000 a month, and I think that's pretty good coin, if you're doing this just on the side. But yeah, you can definitely scale from there, because people have to understand your prospects are property management companies. Your clients are property management companies. They're in the business of managing commercial properties. So they have more than one. And, they manage maybe a portfolio of 20, 30, maybe 40 properties. And if they try your service out at one of their properties and they like the results they're getting from you and the customer service you're providing, the chances are really good they're going to contact you and say, hey, we like what you're doing at one of our properties. Are you interested in doing more for us? So, that's the great thing about this business. You satisfy somebody and you provide that great customer service. They're going to want to do more business with you.
Totally. So you mentioned, the clients end up being property management companies. So if it's a retail strip mall kind of scenario with a parking lot, what's the typical example of a building or a structure that is part of the Rolodex?
Okay. Well, the properties that we service are strip plazas, maybe small to medium size. But having said that, we also have always done a few larger town centers, with the big box stores like a Staples, a Best Buy, etc. And then we've got some smaller strip plazas where, literally it takes you just 10, 15 minutes to service each day. We're contracted to maintain these properties litter free. So we don't go in once a week and clean up an accumulation. We're typically at these properties anywhere from 3-5 days a week. And in some cases with the larger ones, like the town centers, maybe 6 or 7 days a week. We also do a number of, smaller office properties, office buildings where maybe they're 3-4 stories high, largely professional, like, doctors' offices, law firms, etc., where they've got, outdoor parking and then maybe an underground parking garage. And then also some, industrial parks where you've got office space in the front and warehouse bays, or, loading docks in the rear. And so there's a good mix there, and each one, you kind of service a bit differently. But at the end of the day, you're contracted to clean up the litter from their properties, and it, like I say, it's almost as easy to do as going for a walk.
Well, and that was one of the things that stood out to me in some of our original conversations is that, hey, getting the exercise and getting the calories, getting the blood pump, and that's part of the joy that people get, and if you can mix that type of a habit somebody's built in terms of just staying fit and exercise and turn that into a business and, kind of a win-win from that regard. And then one of the things I was going to ask you too is, this is a service that it's not going away. I mean, people are still going to be purchasing things, and people are going to litter. And maybe the companies come and go, but people are going to still be littering, and some service is going to have to clean it up. So
exactly. I mean, we've survived several recessions, and then this pandemic, where some businesses were forced to shut down. We were considered an essential service. So we were still out there. Some of our work was scaled back, or in terms of the frequency of our service, but we were still out cleaning the parking lots in front of grocery stores, because it was just amazing how many people would discard their masks in the parking lot. And nobody wants to see that stuff. So we did quite well actually in terms of picking up more business during the pandemic. So we're recession proof, and we're also pandemic proof, I guess.
The turning point of solopreneur versus being able to scale potentially and having somebody else help with some of the cleaning services. Where's the turning point? Is there a turning point that you can identify in terms of number of units or revenue or things like that?
Well, again, that's up to each individual as to how many buildings they're willing to service. Some people might be happy with 2 or 3. Some people might want more, and then and I usually, when you start getting other people to help you out, is when perhaps you're only interested in working 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then one of the properties that you service, your client comes to you and say, hey, we need 6 or 7 day a week service, so that's weekend work. So I show you in the book how to find people that want to do this on the side. Maybe they're not interested in working Monday through Friday, but they'd love to do this for you. Saturday mornings or Sunday, or both Saturday and Sunday mornings, and then then you all of a sudden you've got some people that you can call upon to do some weekend work, and in some cases they'll approach you and say, do you have any other work for me during the week? So then you can actually let your customers know you're willing to do more properties because you've got the people to do the coverage for you, and you decide how much you want to scale your business, but it's quite simple to get more and more people to recruit an army of people, if you will, to blanket your city and provide this service. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not telling you how big or how many buildings you have to do. That's entirely up to you.
That makes sense. I love it. Any other words of wisdom or advice that you would give to somebody, from an entrepreneur standpoint, this business or any other business? What you mentioned, go get it. What do you mean by that? Go after it. What do you mean?
Well, if you work your business will work for you. And literally, it means what I just said. I mean, some people maybe going into business for themselves isn't really for them, because they like someone always telling them this is what you need to do, this is your schedule, and then if they didn't have that, they'd be frankly they'd be lost. I mean, you've got to be self motivated. You've got to make things happen for yourself, but if you're that type of person, you can actually learn this too, because a lot of people say, well, I do this if I knew how to do it and what the steps are, and that's what I think I accomplished with this book. I show people from the very first step. If you've never been in business for yourself, this is what you need to do, and then this is what you need to do with marketing, and then this is what you need to do with customer service, and this is where you need to be seen so your customers can find you. And there's a lot of tips in the book, where I say grab the low-hanging fruit first before you start spending your money on things that really can wait until a later day. And one example of that is, some people are in such a hurry to create an elaborate website, all the bells and whistles and everything. And, I tell people, hold on. The first thing you should do is claim your Google business profile, because really it acts as a mini website. And once you've got that profile on Google, then, if your prospects are doing a search for your service, you're going to show up, so then they can contact you. And the same thing with, getting a profile on LinkedIn and then setting up a company page. That's the best way to reach out to property managers, because they're going to be on LinkedIn. And, but all of this stuff doesn't cost you anything except your time. And so I tell people, you spend some time first before you start spending money on various methods of marketing.
That's awesome. What's the competition like? So if I'm going and talking to the person that makes these decisions, I mean, what's the existing service look like, and what's the typical objection that they have to overcome?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because some people are wondering, well, somebody has to be doing this, and that's true. I mean, there's bylaws. A lot of cities have bylaws where properties, especially commercial properties, need to be maintained litter free. They don't want people living in the neighborhood, going into a property that's just littered with trash everywhere. So, it could be a building operator that is employed by the property management company. It could be a large cleaning company, which they use to contract clean their properties, or it could, like such as a day porter service, or it could actually even be a landscape contractor that has the contract to do the landscape maintenance during the summer season, the growing season, and then the snow removal. And oftentimes they'll say, hey, we need you to do some exterior maintenance, such as a regular litter control program for us. But there's pros and cons to each of those that I've just mentioned. Ideally, and the reason why we've been so successful for over 40 years is because we provide our service with the proper tools at the most appropriate time of day, which is after hours. So we don't have any vehicle interference, when we're cleaning our properties. So we can give them better results. And then also we give that extra value where we provide a free reporting service. So if we see some property damage, maybe a stop sign's been run over, someone's dumped off a mattress and a sofa at the back of the property, maybe there's some fresh graffiti on the wall, we report that to our clients first thing in the morning. So what they learn to expect from us is a clean property by the beginning of the business day. When the business is open and their clients show up, they see a clean property, but also they're going to receive that notification from us that, hey, we noticed one of those aforementioned, items that they can quickly, forward to their graffiti removal contractor or their building operator, for example. Okay, can you go out and take care of this? And actually it frees up. Our service makes their jobs easier, because they don't have to have their building operators pay their building operators or bill out their operations staff to do such as menial, simple service such as litter control. Now they know there's a contractor that can handle that for them.
So one of the things you mentioned for your personal journey, you built this business for yourself, a number of clients, and you're part of the actual execution. But also you've got people that are working with you, and you can get done with your day at a certain time. So when you get done with your day at a certain time, what's one of the couple things that you love to do with that extra time that you built over time, over the journey?
Well, I guess I'm kind of a creative person. So, I've become quite a good cook. My wife and my kids tell me over the years. So, I enjoy spending time in the kitchen, and instead of, rather than just throwing something together and then telling people, sit down and eat, and you just wolf it down in 5 or 10 minutes. I like to create something that takes time, and people will enjoy taking the time to eat it as well. So, and shopping for those special ingredients, if that's the case at an international market or whatever. And then, my kids, they stopped playing hockey, but I coached hockey for 12 years. So I had the freedom to get kids to hockey practice in the late afternoon hours, or in the evening, or whatever the case was. And I ran goalie clinics, having played the game myself, when I was into my late teens. But yeah, I mean, some people, this is actually great. Some people about my book told me, hey, I'm a semi-retired senior. I love, going out, making some money in the morning, and then I go golfing right after. So
that's awesome. So you're in Alberta, right?
Yeah, I'm in Canada, and in Calgary, close to the Rocky Mountains, where we get snow and our winters are long. But you know what? Like you mentioned earlier, people litter. It's seasonal service. I mean, it may snow and cover, mask some of the litter material briefly, but at some point it's going to become visible again. And actually, I tell a lot of my students who ask that question, like, isn't this a seasonal service? Well, actually, it isn't. But I ironically find more drink cups, especially coffee cups, during the winter months than any other time of year.
That makes sense. Yeah, you keep maybe the snowplow got you blocked from the trash can. Who knows? So the cuisine, right? What's an example of one of your favorite dishes? And I'm just curious how that differs to, say, somebody in one of the states.
Okay.
Whether Washington or Montana or whatever.
Well, my younger son, he loves Indian cuisine, so I make my own keema matar, butter chicken, and then I make Mexican, burritos. I do a lot of Italian. I came up with my own version of peasant soup. There's the Italian wedding soup. I make Chinese. I've got several Thai recipes. Different curries, and then more conventional items like stews and goulashes. But a little bit of everything. Whatever my kids like, and sometimes they find a recipe and they say, "Dad, try this. Can you make this?" And so if it, they let me know if it's good. They tell me, "Dad, that's a keeper." So then I just add it to my cookbook.
Love it. So I got to ask this question because, right now in the Midwest, in Missouri, it's like 55 degrees. And literally 7 days ago, it was -6. And like -6, my car wouldn't start. My battery was dead. AAA comes out. We couldn't jump it, whatever. And so the next day it was like 17 degrees. And I did not realize how big of a difference -6 to 17 was, because 17 felt like the summer all of a sudden. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. So, talking about, shopping for groceries and cooking dinner. And when it snows here in the Midwest, it's a big deal. And when it snows in like DC or North Carolina, it's like the world's ended. And you guys get obviously a lot more snow than us. So like, your heavy winters,
we
does
don't
it block you from getting to the grocery? You're saying no?
No. I mean, that's a misconception a lot of people have with maybe certain cities or in Canada, but like down east, like Ontario, Toronto, they get a lot of snow. I mean, just north of Buffalo. I mean, we also saw how much snow Buffalo gets. And then on our west coast, there's Vancouver. I mean, it's pretty similar the climate to Seattle, where it's usually rainy and green year round, and when they do get the occasional snowfall, it's almost humorous, but they're not used to it. So it just paralyzes the city. I mean, people can't drive, it's icy streets. But where we live, most of the snow falls in the mountains on the ski hills, and we're on the eastern slopes. So, we'll get maybe a couple inches here, a couple inches there, and then, a period of cold weather. And then we get what's known as these Chinook winds. where where it snows in the mountains, but as the wind and the system comes down the eastern slopes, the air warms up, and by the time it gets us, it could jump 10 degrees in one day, and then it'll melt the snowfall. So at any given time where I live, we might have maybe 5 centimeters of snow on the ground, and then that's it. Then it's gone, and then it's dry and brown, and then it snows again, and repeat. But like I said, our winters are longer, seeing as we're live in a northerly climate. So spring might not come here until April.
Gotcha. No, that I did not realize that. That's news to me. That is good news. So, from a impact standpoint, a lot of the listeners that we have that reach out to me, that message me, are people that they're feeling the effects of inflation. They're feeling the effects of trouble being able to save. Without the ability to continue to save, it's impossible to invest. And this is an opportunity to be able to find something for the right person, to be able to maybe build something on the side, potentially increase savings and invest. Is there anybody else in your circle, your network, that's done so? Because this is such a job that a lot of people don't want to do, right? But it can be a very meaningful, impactful, and profitable business. Is there anybody else in your network or circles that's got a different niche that's almost similar in terms of its necessity, recession-proof kind of a thing?
Well, there's all sorts of people that run simple, little-known service businesses that, because I can relate to that, seeing as I provide a service. But with regards to cleaning, there's some other niche type of cleaning services where someone provides maybe like a washroom sanitization. So that's all they do. They come in wearing hazmat suits, and they've got the pressure steamers and they'll hose down the washrooms and restock the bathroom supplies, and that's it. So all sorts of interesting things to do. I ran into a fellow who maintains grave sites, and I couldn't quite figure out who pays him to do this, but he'll go in and he'll kind of manicure around and clean up, and with a special brush clean out the tombstone or the headstone, make sure it looks nice and shiny, and it's a service that someone needs to do, and a lot of people don't think of it, but people do quite well finding those little niche services, and all the power to them.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because again, increasing the visibility, increasing the ideas, sparking someone's creative mind to find the right fit for them. You just never know when you're able to connect somebody to the right message, or the right thing at the right time. Kind of putting on a different hat, right? From running a business also, requires some marketing, and you wrote a book. So any advice to somebody out there that's got a niche or a specialty or a message that you want to get out there, that may want to write a book and then, market it? And what are some of the things that you've had to go through to make that a reality?
Well, if you're not a writer, excuse me, you can get somebody like a ghostwriter to assist you with that. Do what you can in terms of, sharing your story on paper, but, you can get somebody, and sometimes maybe even a journalism student at your local university to help, with the editing and the several versions of the rewritings, if you will. And then, you can either find a publisher or you can self-publish. It's really easy these days to put a book together and then, sell it on Amazon or sell it on a website like I do. And by the way, my book is available on both my website and on all the online bookstores. But yeah, everyone, I believe, has a skill, a special talent. And at some point in their life, they should look at the opportunity of sharing it with as many people as possible. And, it doesn't mean everyone's going to get rich with it, but if you can change the life of one person for the better, that's something you should feel good about, I think.
Totally agree. So what are some of the goals you have set out for 2023 or the next 6 months, 12 months? What are some of the things you're looking to be able to accomplish?
Well, I'm still happy making my rounds, my cleaning rounds. It's good exercise and really good money for doing that. So I don't have a retirement date circled on my calendar. As long as I have my health, I'll keep at it. In terms of, sharing my opportunity with other people across the country, kind of focused on, finding influencers and having them become affiliates for my book and sharing it with as big an audience as possible. So, and hopefully, maybe I can make an impact before my day is done with, getting people involved in, cleaning up litter, at least for, from commercial properties and making their cities a cleaner and, safer, more fun place to be and shop and work.
Yeah. The whole affiliate marketing thing is something that, I kept hearing about for years, just something that just never really, fit into my daily niche or my expertise until just recently. So it's something that I'm trying to create more awareness for my network as well, because, the ability to generate extra income, is something that I really believe is important right now. And as much as that it's a hot topic right now with, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are struggling. When things were great in 2021 or 2020 or whatever, in terms of just the extra cash, it seemed like a lot more people had cash flow coming in. The pain wasn't as strong. And so you don't have the need to push to find the next thing. And now a lot more people, I think, are feeling the pain. And so you find something inside you deep enough that you are pushed to kind of get out of your comfort zone and find something to try to generate extra revenue. And I just think it's interesting that you get forced to kind of learn something new, get outside your comfort zone, and then who knows what happens after that. You start a business on your own, it leads to the next thing, the next connection, the right contact, and then you're doing the next thing that maybe at a bigger scale to either generate more income or have a positive impact. And so,
well, exactly, you develop those skills that maybe at some point you can transition to something else entirely. But throughout life, you're always learning, and so you just take those skills and those life experiences and build upon them.
Yeah, I know for me personally, and I think there's a lot of other people that probably fit in this category. The typical Gen Z or millennial. Hey, I'm not very patient. I want my results tomorrow or today. And that's something that I've really had to learn through time. That if I want to be able to get to a goal, I have to be focusing more on the process, not the results. And it's unfortunate to say. I'm just being honest. I'm guilty of that, just as probably as many others are. That's a skill, in my opinion. It's a skill. If you can learn that skill, to put the work in and not see the tangible results over a period of time, knowing that in 6 months or a year the results are going to come along the way. Like, that's skill to learn right there.
Yeah, well, it's like you put it great. I mean, there is a process and you have to follow that process. And it's much the same. I mean, I guess you can think of it if you follow sports. I mean, everyone wants to win the game, but there's still, 3 periods or 4 quarters to play, and you've got to be on as much as you can, for the full, time period, make as few mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes if you happen to lose. But, there is that process you have to follow.
Totally. And one of the things that I have a video that will come out at some point down the road, and talking about some of the people that have put on this specific show, this podcast, that have been doing some pretty remarkable things in their own right and in different genres. And, I identified a few of these people that there was a strong turning point. And there's a gentleman, he uses the term paradigm shift, Patrick Bet-David. He's a billionaire at this point, CEO of an insurance company, on all the social medias, YouTube, whatever. And he uses the word paradigm shift, that something happens in someone's life that finally they get it. They have this purpose, this energy, something that's pushing them to get out of their comfort zone, to go make something happen. And, one person, it was, hey, like the isolation of COVID, this person was a social butterfly. Isolation of COVID, pushed them out of their comfort zone, then to scale their number of properties. was another person that had some health stuff going on that changed their life at an early age. And this person just figured out what the process was to be able to prospect in the commercial real estate world and stuck to the process year in, year out. And after 3 years, had built an amazing business, and he had an amazing reputation of follow through and execution. And the list goes on. And so, for your situation, is that going back to your father passing away? What was that for you? That was that turning point to, I'm going to go make this a reality.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One of the reasons I was looking into doing something for myself is because with my personality, I'm an introvert. Some people might say, I would never would have guessed, but I wanted to find something where, I could just do my work and at the end of the day be done. And, but I found something, my cleaning parking lots, where I truly believed in. So it's really easy for me to cold call, for example, to sell my services, because I don't look at that what I'm doing is selling a service or a product. Is what I look at instead is I'm sharing how my service can be of benefit to my prospects or my customers. And if you develop that mindset, I'm sharing what I can do for you. It's really easy. And I can talk to people, because I believe in what I'm doing and the merits behind it. And it's not difficult. My father's passing was that extra bit of motivation for me to see through the steps in order to become successful. But I got into this business because it was an outlet for my career, where I could feel most comfortable having that introverted personality.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I mean, like, I was just telling somebody in my circle that this podcast had never entered my brain until this year. Never anything I ever thought about doing. And, my personal, I'm an introvert myself, at heart. And, I got out of college. I was an econ major. I was a numbers person and played baseball. And I got out of college and I got a job, not the job I wanted. I was working at the melting pot, serving tables, got thrown into the fire. I never thought I'd be doing that, but my brother worked there. It actually was one of the best experiences of my life. My brother worked at the melting pot. Some of our close friends worked there. And so it was a lot of fun being able to go to work, party afterwards with your friends. But getting in front of a large group and having to talk and entertain, so to speak, in that realm, and it just pulled me out of my comfort zone. I just got me into the mortgage world. One of my regulars came in, for report cards for the kids, and then she's like, I'm going to get you a job. Like, okay, what is it? Okay, mortgage. Okay, I don't know what that is, but I'll go interview, and that's what I was doing a lot of interviews in the finance world. And next thing you know, I got into mortgage, and that's led me down this path. You just never know, where some of these experiences will take you if you're open minded. But
that's right.
Anyway,
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So we're running out of time here. Just been a pleasure catching back up with you and learning more about the business. And you just never know, somebody out there that may connect with this and say, man, I'm going to give this a try. I want to be able to find something that I can do on the side and maybe even turn it into a business. Because, one of the things that's for me in my world, I'm on the phone talking to people, and you just never know when you're able to connect somebody that has a need to somebody else in your network. And that's the thing that I love to be able to do too. So if you're listening out there, if you do have, questions, reach out to me. I can get you connected to Brian. Obviously the book, we'll have the book, in the show notes, and it's affordable. You have direct access to Brian, which is amazing. And, we'd love to have you back on some point down the road and catch back up with you. So I got to push you on this. So you didn't answer the question on the goal. Is there something out there? Is it a book goal? Is it a client goal? Is it a success? I mean, what's the goal out there? I mean, maybe it's personal. Maybe it's personal with your family or kids. Who knows? What's something out there that you want to be able to look back on and say, yeah, we did this in 2023?
Well,
pushing you here.
Personal. Okay, well, actually, that's a fair question. The personal goal is something my wife and I had planned 3 years ago. It never was able to happen because of COVID, but we plan on taking a trip to Italy in the fall of 2023. And, we're really looking forward to that. I mean, we've traveled, my family, extensively throughout North America and Mexico, but we've never been to Europe. And, we were thinking to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that was going to be the time. But, unfortunately, due to COVID, and you see a lot of horror stories with the airports and the airlines these days, and it seems they don't have the staff, but they've introduced all the flights and everything. Hopefully that sorts out before we take off in September. So
that's awesome. So that means it's already booked, right? You've got your itinerary already finalized.
Well, we've got our itinerary, but we won't book that probably until about 3 or 4 months out before we depart. Okay. So,
but you know which cities you're going to be going to.
Oh yeah.
Which ones?
Well, we're going to fly into Rome, and then go down to the island of Capri, and check out Sorrento. Got all sorts of tours. On what's that coast? The Amalfi Coast. Go to Pompeii. Check out the sites in Rome, and go to Vatican City. And ironically, my dad had this picture in a photo album when he was in the Second World War. He fought for the Polish resistance division of the British Eighth Army, but there is a picture of him taken with some war buddies, and in the background was scenery from the Vatican City. And so I want to try to, with that picture, I'm going to try to find that background and have my picture taken where, just to kind of compare, how many years difference. I'm sure it's going to look the same in the background, but it'll be me in it instead of him.
That's amazing. I'm so glad I asked this question because I wasn't sure what your answer was going to be. Some people go north, Milan, Venice, and Rome, and we literally, this is for my fifth year anniversary, went to Italy. I've never been to Europe my entire life. We went to Italy, flew into Rome. The jet lag was terrible. We were there for one day, did nothing, did literally nothing, but we did Sorrento, Capri, into the wine country, Tuscany, and did a little tour through the city of Greve, Greve, I think is what it is. And they were just happened to be, and I think this was in September. They happened to be having like their annual town festival, and we happened to be there for that. And it was just this big party, just people going crazy. It was amazing. And then we went to one of the Chianti Classico vineyards. I remember the place because we were able to purchase some bottles after the fact as well as there, and it was Corchetto di Castillo. Just amazing scenery, amazing trip. So I'm happy for you guys. It's gonna be a blast. Capri was a blast. That was amazing. So looking forward to that. I mean, it looks really great. And the Blue Grotto, did you go into that? We did not go in it, but we went by it because for some reason we weren't able to do it. But we went right by, so we could see it from afar. Yeah, but that was cool. Yeah.
Well,
so I'm so glad I asked that question. We'll have to catch up on that down the road. But any other last thoughts or advice for the listeners out there?
Well, I think I don't want, at the risk of repeating myself. I just tell people, if you're looking at a side hustle, just find something you think you would enjoy, and you're more likely to stick with it and succeed at it and enjoy doing it as opposed to just chasing the dollar signs.
Love it. Brian, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, week, and spend some time with us, and I'm just happy to have you. And again, we'll have all the show notes and links to the book and all that. But Brian, thanks again, and we'll talk very soon.
Thanks, Joel, and Happy New Year.
You too.